You're listening to the Losing It with John podcast. I am John Hoff, and today I have a very special co-host with me, my wife, Lindsey Hoff. Lindsey, how you doing?
I'm just wonderful.
She's just wonderful. That's great. Because you're with me, of course.
Always.
Today, we are going to talk about a little comment that somebody left on one of my YouTube videos. And, you know, sometimes when you are talking about health, not everybody agrees with you.
No.
Right? Yeah, it's very contentious, right? Protein is another one.
Yeah.
Too much protein, not enough, right?
Right.
Right. So that's actually when I know I'm doing good things, because if I just preach, you know, something for everybody, the thing for everybody is something for what?
Nobody.
So, you know, I have a very specific group of people that I talk to, and they're usually people who are struggling with overeating. I have helped people like my mother who undereat. That might be you a little bit. But, you know, every now and then you get somebody with these comments, and, you know, they come from a good place. I will say that. And I'll read you the comment, what it is right now. And then we're going to talk about it in this podcast, because I think it's going to be an eye-opener for many people who've been on diets and their dieting hasn't really been working for them. Been going on and off, and they gain a little, they don't gain a little, and it's been hard to stick to. So if that's you, this one is for you. So here's the comment, and then we're going to roll the credits. Or the credits? Is it the credits or the intro? We're going to roll the intro in a second. But the question or the statement from this person was, what you eat can matter as much as how much you eat, and way more than how you eat it. So I'm going to tell you what video that was, what I was talking about, and my response and Lindsey's response coming right up. Hi, my name is John Hoff, and I'm a personal development and weight loss coach. And on this podcast, I'm here to tell you all your dreams can come true. You just have to have the courage to pursue them and the desire to improve how you think, how you feel, and what you tell that person staring back at you in the mirror. What you're going to do today to make tomorrow one step closer to the life you want to live. No more telling yourself it's too hard. No more telling yourself you just can't do it. Let it be messy. Let it not be perfect. Because there is no such thing. So stop telling yourself you can't do it, because you can. I believe in your power to change. You can manifest anything your heart desires. You just have to know how to direct the energy. Because whatever you believe is what you will receive. And I believe you are beautiful. I believe you can fit into the clothes you want to fit into. And I believe nothing can stop you from losing all the weight you want to lose. So let's talk about it. This is the Losing It with John podcast. All right, so we're back, and first of all, you know what? I am so happy that you're here with me today on this podcast. Lindsey is always in the background helping me with things. And how many times do I like come downstairs? Oh, I just had an idea. And I just got to shoot the idea, right?
Right. Sounding board.
Right. And then she's like, that doesn't, like, I think we were talking about appetite and
yeah, that's not the way people think.
Yeah.
You tell them.
Yeah. I'm talking the scientific way of things. And she's like, no. You got to talk more in real people talk, not science talk. So, alrighty. It is 117 degrees out, and we're recording this podcast. It feels like 119. So heat wave going on. We are here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we're going to power through it. So listen, here's the deal. Okay. I do these videos. I do like reels on Instagram, on TikTok, and YouTube only lets you do like 1 minute reels or shorts is what they call them. So I can only upload so many of them. So if you like watching a lot of videos, I do have a YouTube channel where I post this podcast, the video version of the podcast, and some other things. But like those the short ones, like the reels and stuff, you see a lot more on Instagram and TikTok. But I did do a short, which actually I think I was wearing the same shirt. How about that? I'm looking at it right now on YouTube. It was a short that I did that I started out and I said, if you've been struggling with losing weight, with dieting, if you've been struggling with dieting, where you lose weight and you gain weight and you can't really stick with it, it's really hard and everything, then the problem is that the diet that you're working on has been focusing on what, Linz? It's been focusing on...
What?
Hey, there we go. I had to give her the hint. The diet has been focusing on what you eat and not how much you eat and how you eat. Correct. Yeah, exactly. Your diets, okay, so take like a low carb diet, for example, because I used to teach low carb diet. I think low carb is a really great way. If you need to lose weight, low carb is going to help you to lose weight.
Right.
It does pretty good.
Yeah.
We've both done low carb.
Yes.
And even though I'm not technically on a low carb diet these days, the standard American diet, they would probably look at me as low carb. Yeah.
We're not keto.
We're not keto.
We're just lower carb.
Yeah, I like to say that we are normal carb. We eat kind of what naturally, we eat closer to like whole foods.
Right.
So we eat kind of more natural. We eat potatoes and stuff, but we're not eating a lot of these heavily processed foods, which bring your carbs up to, like I did in a little app, I put in for one day how many carbs I used to eat in a day. And it was like, okay, so I woke up, I had coffee with sugar in it, and I had oatmeal I put in there, and I always put a little syrup in it. And then for lunch, I think I had a sandwich and some chips. And then during the day, a couple Pepsis for the day. And then I had like a Snickers bar. Because sometimes, I would eat a Snickers bar during the day. That would be my snack or something.
Or a Starbucks drink.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then what else? So like for dinner, I put in there that I had pasta. And I had 2 slices of bread. Because, this is stuff that I used to do.
Garlic toast.
Yep, garlic toast, exactly. Put the butter with the little garlic salt on top, right? Just the quick one. You do it in the toaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
And then I would have like a beer or something at night. And then after that, I might have some ice cream. I remember like we would go up to the Shell station, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The gas station. And we would get ice cream, come home and eat that. So it turned out that when it was Carb Manager. That was the app that I did this on. I had like 600 grams of carbohydrates in that day. Now, that's
more than that, I think.
That is
more like 800.
Yeah, it might have been. But it was that is basically like a standard American diet. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
It could be pizza, pasta, These days, I'm closer to probably 100-ish grams of carbs in there. I eat Ezekiel bread. I have my what is it, avocado toast every morning. I eat that.
We don't live in California.
We don't live in California, no. We live in scorching Las Vegas. So what I'm saying here is that, we are health conscious. We try to eat low processed foods and whole foods. But when it comes to losing weight, so a low carb diet, when you're sticking to like 20 grams of carbs a day, 30 grams of carbs a day, that usually helps people to lose weight. But I want to make it clear, first of all, really why low carb works so well. So a lot of times people will think, well, it's the carbs. Technically, it's not the carbs, okay? And I know we're going on our tangents away from this person's question, but it is relating a little bit. But I think a lot of people like it when I go on tangents.
Right.
Because when I go on tangents, I make things more clear. So like a low carb diet, for example, when it comes down to it, okay, losing weight and gaining weight is more so about the amount of calories that you have.
Right.
and what your body is burning for calories. And that doesn't always mean exercise. That just means your base metabolic rate, just sitting here. You sitting there right now looking at me is using a bunch of, you looking at me beautifully, yes, taking up a lot of calories just to sit there to beat your heart, body temperature, hair growth, right? Thinking, all of these things. Well, low carb foods are typically lower in calories, okay? Dark leafy greens, that's a low calorie food. Typically eating meat. Meat isn't really a high calorie food. Chicken is not a high calorie food compared to like the bun that you would have on a chicken sandwich.
Right.
Okay. And these apps on our phones, when we use them like Carb Manager. So if you're doing a low carb diet, most people are using Carb Manager. The math that Carb Manager uses to determine how many carbs you should be eating based, because it asks you questions. What's your height? What's your weight? What are your goals? And things like that. It does some math and calculations. Well, guess what it calculates? It calculates calories. It calculates calories. Based on those calories, then, it tells you about how many carbs you should be eating. Okay, so it really comes down to the amount of food that you're eating. Now, different foods will have different amount. You have nutrient-dense foods, low-calorie foods. You can have high-calorie foods, nutrient-poor foods. But in the end, when it comes to weight loss, it's more about how much food are you eating. Now, if it's broccoli, you can eat a lot of the broccoli. Okay. If it's chips, you need to have a little bit less of the chips, right?
Right.
Okay. So anyways, back to the video that I did was telling people that if you were having a hard time on your diet, then likely the problem is that the diet's focusing on what you're eating and not how much of it you're eating. And the what you're eating is really hard for a lot of people to stick to.
Right.
I mean, taking out like...
It is for me.
I mean, taking out like ice cream, like you can no longer have ice cream. And what if you're using that ice cream for an emotional need? You know, every time like you get upset or something, I don't know, I see you usually like, where's my ice cream?
I love ice cream.
But what happens if you take away the ice cream, but you were eating the ice cream because you were angry? What are you left with?
The anger.
You're left with angry, right?
And frustration.
And frustration. And let me tell you something, just like doing stuff, I don't know, around the house or something like that, that's not the solve for it. Oh, I'm angry. Okay, I'm going to go, I don't know.
Walk around the block.
Walk around the block. You know? I mean,
Can't
no.
do that now. It's too hot.
Yeah. So we have to figure out, why are you getting angry and how can we work through that in a way that you don't need to reach for the ice cream. But in the meantime, while you're trying to lose weight, it's more beneficial, I have found, to let somebody still have the ice cream, but let's learn how to eat it a little more mindfully. Let's learn how to eat a certain amount of it. You don't need to eat the whole tub, right? Okay, which I used to do. I used to back in the day.
Whole package of cookies. Whole tub of ice
It,
cream.
it was soft batch cookies. I ate the entire thing.
I remember.
The entire thing. They were so good, but I couldn't stop.
Even back then, I told him, don't do that.
Yep. So I have my own weight loss history, and everybody has different reasons why they had weight and a different amount of weight. You know, I mean, I wasn't obese, but I certainly was overweight. And anyways, so, okay, this person's comment then, and now we're going to get into it here even a little bit more. I'm going to dig it down. Again, he said, what you eat can matter as much as how much you eat and way more than how you eat it. Okay, so let's talk about first about the how much you eat and everything. First of all, to this person who left the comment so eloquently, which I didn't leave the other parts on there that they
Right.
voiced. You know, some people, they just like being nasty. And I usually don't respond to those people, but I guess I had time. I never said it doesn't matter. Okay. I never said what you eat doesn't matter.
Right.
Of
Because it
course.
does.
Yeah, of course it matters.
Absolutely.
But, for someone who hasn't been able to stick to a diet, which is how I started my video, by the way, which diets typically mean you're eating a little healthier,
Right.
than what you were.
Changing the way you eat.
Changing the way you eat. Yeah. I found that the diet doesn't really address two things. And this is why people struggle so much with it. It doesn't address how they eat. And I'll talk about that in a moment. And it doesn't address why they're eating it. And if you don't address those two things, then, and your problem is overeating.
Right.
Simply changing what?
You're going to keep going.
You're going to keep going. Simply changing the food isn't going to fix the volume of food that you're eating and why you're eating it.
You're going to fall off the wagon very quickly. You're going to go back to your old habits. You're going to make a mistake one time and be, oh, well, man, I messed up, so I'm just going to go back to eating the way I used to eat.
Absolutely. For someone who is, let's say, obese, okay, as an example, overeating is likely the biggest problem. So let's address the overeating first.
Right.
Let's address that. And you don't address
control.
Portion control. Absolutely. Teaching them how to eat when they are hungry and how to stop so that they don't overeat.
Yeah.
Right. That is going to push the needle much more in the beginning for somebody and let them stay on that path than simply saying, take away all this food over here. You can only eat between 1 p.m. and 8 p.m. And you need to exercise and you need to do this. And that stuff's too much.
Right.
It's too much.
Eat like a bird, exercise more, and you'll lose some weight.
Right. I call them spreadsheet diets.
Yeah.
That's
Check
what I call
off
it.
everything on the checklist. And you'll eventually lose weight, absolutely. But will you stick to it? Probably not, because it's not enjoyable. You have to take out all the foods that you like. You have to exercise more, and people tend to not stick to them.
Yeah. And now, technically, on a spreadsheet, like we said, all the things is what you want to do.
Right.
Right? All the things. That's going to be the best.
But for me, not for him, for me, I have to ease into new ways of eating. He can go cold turkey and say, you know what? I'm going to only eat things that grow in the ground, and I'm only going to eat, things that walk on the earth, whatever. But for me, I have to do little steps at a time. I have to say, you know what? I'm going to start by eating less. And then I'm going to, once I can get used to eating less, I'm going to start adding in the things that I should be eating and maybe subtract one thing at a time.
Yeah. And you know what? As that gets easier, the natural question that people usually ask, and this is the one that I wait for: what else?
What next?
Can I do? What's next?
Yep.
Exactly. What else can I do? And for some people, that might be a few weeks. For some people, that might be 6 months. Think of it like going to the gym. Okay. Let's say you don't enjoy going to the gym, right? But your doctor said, you got to go to the gym. Okay. But for whatever health reason or whatever, they're like, you need to start going to the gym. So now I'm not a fitness person, to help people in gyms and everything. But if I were, okay, then this is the strategy that I would do. Because look, honestly, it's a strategy I've used for myself, because I'm not in love with going to the gym, but I have actually over in the past, I hated going to the gym, but I've actually learned to like actually going to the gym. I'm developing the discipline.
Right.
But what I would likely do is I would say, okay, well, how about, can you come 1 day a week for 1 hour? That's it. 1 day a week for 1 hour. And that's it. No more. You could probably do that. Somebody could probably do that. And then I would sit there and I would wait until eventually that person was like, and it might take 6 months. But at some point they might say, I was thinking of coming 2 days a week, or is there something that I could do at home to kind of help out a little bit at home,
Right.
And you meet these people where they are.
Right.
Instead of yelling at them, this is what you have to do.
Do
Come
it
to the
now.
gym 6 days a week. I want you to work. I want you to do the treadmill for an hour a day. Do the row machine. You need to lift the weights. You got to do deadlifts. You know what I mean?
No.
Forget about it. You're right. You're going to give up. You're going to give up. And that's what a lot of people do. Look, again, some of these people, this guy was kind of a smart ass, but some people, they're just coming from a place where they haven't helped people lose weight before, but they've gained information on how to be healthy.
Right. And
when you eat healthier, things can happen in your body where your hunger hormones start to function a little bit better.
Right.
Insulin can start to come down. Things can start healing.
Right.
Absolutely. But again, we're looking at what's the biggest bang for the buck. That is something that helps. Just like going to the gym 6 days a week, right? All that stuff helps. But what's the one thing? So if you could do either for weight loss, honestly, if you could either do cardio or you could lift weights and gain muscle, lifting weights and gaining muscle would be better.
Right.
Because the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn all through the week. Where in cardio, you only burn calories while you're, at the gym.
Right.
And then it kind of goes away after a couple hours. So anyways, that's kind of addressing the, like how much you eat. All right. If you're trying to lose weight and your problem is that you're overeating, and it could actually be undereating too. But if you have a lot of weight to lose, usually it's an overeating kind of thing. Yeah. Then we have to start looking at how can we reduce the volume of food. And there's a couple ways of working with that I do in my program. So I have a program called Back to Basics. And if you'd like to get on that wait list, by the way, you can go to losingitwithjohn.com/waitlist. And when I bring on new students, then you'll be the first one notified. But that's something that I teach in there. There's two parts of it. One of it is the physical aspect of things, like the physical hunger. How do you know when you're actually hungry, and how do you stop without going too far? But then there's the mental aspect of it too. And I talk about this in my program, where we need to find out, why are you eating so much food? What's the reason? Is it just that you're mindlessly eating it? Are you emotionally eating it? And there's really, when it comes down to it, there's three things that, when it comes to your eating, that two of them are what you do not want to do. And then there's one of them that is the one that we need to focus on. And the two of them, mindless eating and emotional eating. Okay. Right. And the way you combat that, because if you do mindless eating, and this, by the way, is when the guy says, and way more than how you eat it. Okay. How you eat it. Look, that also goes into the volume of food that you're eating. When you're mindlessly eating, you're sitting in front of a couch, eating a bag of potato chips, watching Netflix, and you're not even thinking about the chips. And then before you know it, you've eaten an entire freaking bag of chips.
Not uncommon.
Not uncommon. And did you know, by the way, Lindsay, that they took a bag of chips and they did a study on how many potatoes does it actually make to make a bag of chips, make a bag of chips. Mm-hmm. Can you guess? And let's just say a big size of Lay's potato chips. How many potatoes do you think that takes to make?
Potato chips are pretty thin, so I'd say, I don't know, maybe 2?
Nope. 5. 5 potatoes to make a bag of, and I'm pretty sure it was Lay's potato chips. You can look this up on the internet, they
I don't believe it. There's not that many chips in a big old bag of Lay's potato chips.
Well, when you dice them up, thinly like that, that's what it came out to. And there's the researchers did that. It's on the internet. But you can duck go it. The thing is can you eat an entire bag of Lay's potato chips?
Sure.
Yeah. Right? Sitting down watching.
I can't eat 5 potatoes, though.
Can you eat 5 potatoes? Who eats 5 potatoes? Seriously.
I don't know. That's too much.
I don't think so. Does this make sense? It doesn't make sense, but it does make sense. When you process the food, all right, you're taking out all that fiber and stuff that fills you up. You can just keep eating it. Yeah. And that mindless eating can happen when you're sitting in front of the TV. It can happen when you're scrolling on your phone. It can happen when you're having a conversation with somebody. You're not even paying attention. It's like, so the way we work against that, or the way we kind of heal that, or try and remedy that, and the emotional eating, is that we need to eat with intention.
Right.
We have to eat with intention. And intentional eating is a little bit different than there's this thing out there, intuitive eating, where you just listen to your body and your body tells you when you're hungry and everything. And I think that's great. And intentional eating actually does incorporate much of that in there. But eating with intention is something that I teach in my program, Back to Basics, so that people actually can pay attention to what they're doing. Because right now, the tendency is to overeat.
Right.
But we can mindfully use our head, use some paper and pencil, and we can start working on correcting some of that amount that we're eating by doing it with intention. And it takes a little bit of time because nobody's perfect.
Right.
Nobody rides a bike perfectly right from the beginning, from day one. But when we learn how to eat with intention, we can learn how to reduce the amount of food that we're eating, whether it's mindless eating or it's emotional eating. We have to use our brains, okay? We have to use our brains for this, not a diet. Forget about dieting. Let me tell you, you want to know the first thing that people don't have to worry about? When I open doors and I accept new students in and they click the enroll button, okay? The first thing that they no longer have to worry about.
The word diet?
The word diet. The word diet. They don't need to worry about. When you hit the enroll button, seriously, you have written off dieting for good. You never go on a diet again. Who lives on their life on a diet forever? People who have...
People do, but...
Well, I mean, people who have medical condition.
Right.
They live on a specific diet. If you have rheumatoid arthritis, there's certain foods that you need to stay away from. If you have celiac disease, you need to stay away from certain kinds of foods. You have a certain kind of diet that you have to live on. If it's simply that you want to lose some weight and be a healthy weight for whatever that is for you, however you define that, you don't need to be on a diet to do that.
Right.
You just need to eat proper amount of food based on the amount of activity level that you have. Okay? So that's what I teach people. So let's see, what else? I got a couple notes here I was going to look at. Everybody is different. Why I had the weight that I had when I was younger versus why you have the weight that you have might be different. We have different reasons. Not everybody emotional eats.
Right.
Not everyone.
I gained weight because I had kids. I mean, that was my main thing. I was fine before I had kids, and then I had kids, and there's the weight, and I had to try to get rid of it.
Yeah. Yep. Body changes.
Body changes.
Hormones, age, and
Age.
I know, age. But the overarching premise, if I'm saying that right, is that it comes down to the amount of food that you're eating. Now, if your body has changed because of the hormones and stuff, that doesn't mean that it no longer means it has nothing to do with the amount of food that you're eating.
Right.
Okay. It just means that you have a new thermostat.
Right.
You have a new level that you're at. And we have to work on that. That's something that I kind of talk about in my program, where we lower our hunger thermostat. Because when we can lower our hunger thermostat, you eat a little bit less food and it becomes just the normal thing you do.
Right.
And there's some
Then
specific...
that part is easy.
Exactly. And there's some specific ways that we do that to make that happen. So let's see. What else do we have here? I just put on my notes, yeah, this person probably wasn't somebody who needed my help. So they left a comment, right? They just know a little bit about nutrition. And people don't like to hear when they learn about nutrition and they learn about how certain foods are healthy and certain foods are unhealthy, which, by the way, that's how I define it.
Right.
I never really thought of it this way, but I don't define things as bad food or good food. I define things as healthy food and less healthy food. Okay. You could even say unhealthy food. I don't think sugar is healthy in any particular way.
Right.
I suppose it gives energy. So you could make it
Yeah.
tiny case in that regard. So I look at food in that way. And, you know, when people have studied about like healthy food, their beliefs get challenged when I'm saying that for right now, the healthy food might not be switching straight to that, might not be the most important thing.
Right.
For some people, it might be. And if it is, that's great. And I support
If you can do it, that's great. If you can jump
Mm-hmm.
right into eating whole foods, low carbs, you know, getting rid of all the sodas and all the Starbucks and all the everything that's bad in your diet. If you can do it, jump off, that's wonderful. But a lot of people can't.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When someone's in our program, if they're like, hey, John, I like eating low carb. Guess what? You can do low carb. You know, that's absolutely, it's fine. I meet you where you are.
Right.
That's the deal. We meet you where you are. Okay. So in the end, you know, what we want to build is momentum. We want to build momentum. And, you know, momentum sometimes can be a bad thing if you look in like overeating food, because sometimes people overeat because it's momentum. You've started eating the food's on your plate, and you just keep going, right?
Right.
So
Like
that's
Thanksgiving.
like Thanksgiving. Yeah. Right. I give myself permission on Thanksgiving. I do. You know, I mean, your, what is it? The
Nilla wafer squash.
Nilla wafer squash. Oh my goodness. Forget about it. But momentum is a good thing when we're talking about making wins, okay? Little wins, step by step. And as one thing that you do gets a little bit better, that's a win, and you should pat yourself on your back. And sometimes people will get upset when I have told them, hey, listen, here's the way that you should be, doing this kind of thing, right? As far as like eating, let's take mindless eating, for example. I tell you what I don't want you to do, or what you should not be doing, is sitting in front of the couch with a bag of chips. Just, you know, like I said, that was what we said before, watching TV. And then before you know it, you got the chips are gone. Right. Instead, here's something that you could do. Before I say it, you as a listener, think in your head, instead of, if you still wanted to eat the chips, what's something else that you could do outside of just grabbing the bag and sitting on the couch and watching your show? What's something that you could do to reduce the amount of chips that you eat? So you might come up with something like, do you have one? Or I've got one.
I'll usually get a small Ziploc baggie and I'll put 1, maybe 2 handfuls in. And I'll take that over to the couch so that I can sit there and I can just eat, maybe 10 or 12 chips.
That's perfect. I was thinking like a small plate.
Yeah.
Just put some chips on a small plate, and you can eat those chips without any regret.
Right.
But you're not allowed to go back for more.
Right.
You know? And the same thing with popcorn, right? Same thing with popcorn.
Same thing with anything. Because you can overeat anything. You don't need to sit there and eat the 5 potatoes. That's too much. You don't want to eat the whole bag of chips. Same reason. Anything is too much if you eat a bunch of it. You don't want to eat 5 pieces of fruit in one sitting because it's too much in one sitting.
Now, here's where people get tripped up and they get upset when actually, when they're my client, I want them to be happy. And that is, they'll grab the bag of chips, they'll sit down and they'll eat half the bag of chips. And then they realize, oh my God, I'm not supposed to be sitting on the couch with a bag of chips right now eating. I suck at this. I'm never going to get it. I can't figure it out. It's too hard. And then they go down this whole deep hole that they dig, right? Of how they can't do it. It's too difficult. And see, it's just... But think about this for a moment. You just stopped eating the whole bag of chips. Yesterday, you would have eaten the whole bag. Today, you're starting to get it.
And even if you did eat the whole bag of chips today, at the end, you stopped yourself and you said, what did I just do? That means you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
That means it's in your mind. That means the next time when you go to the store and you buy that bag of chips and you put it in the pantry, you're not going to grab it out next time because the last time you finished that bag of chips and you thought, oh no, what did I just do?
And you write down what happened, right? You write down what happened and you journal a little bit about it. My mentor, I consider him my mentor. I never met him, but he was one of the first guys that got me on the whole thing of personal development. His name was Jim Rohn, and he had a saying that I live my life by. You have to work harder on yourself than you do your job. And when it comes to your eating, you have to work harder on yourself than the diet, so to speak.
Right.
You have to work harder on yourself. That's the answer.
Right.
And so if while I don't know where you are right now listening to this, you might be in your car, might be, hey, at the gym. Maybe you're going for a walk. Maybe you're cooking. Realize that if you have a habit of overeating, and if one day you stop yourself overeating, like you realize, oh my goodness, I'm not supposed to be doing this. I want you to actually, first of all, put the food down, and I want you to congratulate yourself. I want you to pat yourself on the back and tell yourself, I'm actually getting it. I'm starting to get it, okay? You don't have to be perfect at it. You just need progress, and the progress builds momentum. And as you keep doing these things, they become a habit because, like I say in Back to Basics, when you keep hammering the brain with, okay, no, I'm going to journal about, I did this, and now here's what I'm going to do. Eventually the brain's going to say, okay, this person's serious and this is too much brain power going on here.
Right.
So I'm just going to have to put this in the habit loop. And when it gets into the habit loop, that's when you ask that magic question.
What else?
What else? All right.
And that's when it becomes a lot easier at parties and going out to dinner.
Oh, 100%.
Everything else to say, you know what? I really don't want that big old piece of cake. Maybe I'll just have a small scoop of ice cream. Or maybe I won't have any dessert because you know what? I ate what I wanted to during the dinner meal. So I'm going to be good and I'm going to skip that dessert. Those things become easier once you get into that habit of not having it. Even our kids these days are getting better at saying, you know what? That dessert is too sweet for me. I don't want it. I'll have something at home that has less sugar in it that I enjoy more anyways.
Yeah.
Because they're used to eating that way now.
Yeah. Yeah. Your body adjusts. Our bodies have a way of just wanting to normalize itself. It doesn't want to keep fighting. And if you just have to be consistent and you don't have to be perfect at it. All right. So anyways, that is kind of, the response of the person and, bring them in. If you guys have questions, by the way, hit me up on Instagram, john.hoff35. Go to Instagram and, send me a DM, leave a comment on one of my videos. Hopefully not like this person did over here, but, you can ask a question, but, you don't need to be all nasty and everything. And if you do, then I probably just won't respond. But if, you think that we can help you in your weight loss journey, like if you're kind of tired with that whole dieting thing, you've been on and off, losing weight, gaining weight, and you've tried maybe low carb, you've tried eating whole foods, you've tried Jenny Craig, you tried Weight Watchers, and you keep focusing on the what you're eating, and instead you want to learn how to actually eat with intention and how to get off of the diet wheel. If that is something that you think that you would like help with, we are your people. Okay. Go to losingitwithjohn.com/waitlist and get on my wait list. I'm going to be opening doors here really soon. And oftentimes, actually, I accept one-on-one students as well, where if you wanted something like that, then you could always send me a DM on Instagram and we can talk about your situation. At that point, hey, let's see where you're at and let's see if, I can help you, if Lindsey can help you in where you're at right now. Okay. So with that, we will see you next Monday. Yeah. All right. Thanks for being here. Thank you.